What is up? Welcome to a live stream of the podcast Mythical Mindset. I'm live streaming this on my band pages for my metal project Fire from Heaven. This is like a podcast I started, as something to create content for my music fans and give you guys something different. But if you're listening and you're not familiar with my music, you can definitely check that out. Otherwise, we're going to get into the podcast here. So, Gollum and the consequence of isolation. So, and I'm kind of doing these episodes a little bit shorter than I have in the past, but yeah, we're gonna get right into it. So, Gollum's long isolation in the caves of the Misty Mountains has a profound impact on his psyche. It demonstrates the negative effects of prolonged loneliness and the importance of human connection, social interaction for our well-being. Gollum's story serves as a reminder to cultivate meaningful relationships and avoid isolating ourselves from others. Isolation can have profound effects on an individual's well-being, and as Gollum's character demonstrates, here are some key aspects we are going to consider. So, point one, I forgot to add them on here to where I could put it in the bottom of the emotional and mental decline. Gollum's long isolation in the caves of the Misty Mountains takes a toll on his emotional and mental state. Cut off from meaningful human connection and social interaction, he becomes detached from the world and loses touch with his own humanity, even though he's not a human, technically speaking, but you know what I'm trying to say here. This prolonged isolation contributes to his fractured psyche and deteriorating mental well-being. Obviously, I don't think anyone's necessarily going to isolate themselves in a mountain for however many years Gollum was there. It's quite a while. But this is just like, as I was thinking about it, just a lesson we could learn from him. And it's just important to have connections with other people. I know introverts. You think, well, I don't like people. Introverted, I myself, I understand like what you mean here, but it's still like, even though we're introverted, we all have like our people. It's just that you may not be hanging around the right people. But definitely, there's another side of this that we could consider, is that being around the wrong people is going to influence you in a negative way and all that. But we're focusing here more on isolation, and isolation is just not a healthy thing. I understand you prefer to be alone, but don't isolate yourself. So the next point we're going to consider is distorted perception of reality. Gollum's isolation fuels his descent into darkness and further distorts his perception of reality. Without the grounding influence of others, he becomes consumed by his obsession with the ring and loses touch with the broader world and its moral values. Isolation fosters a skewed perspective that exacerbates, I can't really say that, his negative tendencies and pushes him deeper into his obsession. So, especially, like, I feel like anytime I've been in this kind of point in my life where I was isolating myself, it was because of an obsession with something, We can be obsessed with good things and bad things, and there are times in life where we just may need to get focused on something, but that still is like, isolation is the extreme form of that's not healthy. If you're obsessed with something, we're all going to be obsessed with something, but negatively, like, when you don't have the influence of other people around you, especially positive people that are kind of like, having community is like what helps us like become more self-aware. I talked about this in the last episode. And well, if you don't have that sort of community, that helps you become more self-aware. Then it's just going to fuel that kind of distorted perception. I'm going to go on to the next point: lack of emotional support. Gollum's isolation deprives him of emotional support, empathy, and understanding. He's unable to share his burdens, fears, and desires with others, leading to a sense of loneliness and despair. The absence of emotional connections hampers his ability to cope with the challenges he faces, exacerbating his internal struggles. So again, like that, we all need community. This is just like an extreme example of what happens when you don't have community. Yes, I know it's like a movie, it's a fantasy, it's like he was corrupted by the ring and all that, but it's like we could still look at it and pull this lesson from it. So, don't be isolating yourself. Point. The moral of the story. The next point is reinforcement of negative behaviors. Isolation reinforces Gollum's negative behaviors and patterns of thought. Again, like we kind of like talked about this already, without the influence of others, he becomes trapped in a cycle of self-destructive behavior, further entrenching his obsession with the ring. The lack of external perspectives and feedback prevents him from challenging his own beliefs and exploring healthier alternatives. We see this kind of like with Bilbo, like he had that community. He didn't isolate himself, you know, as Gollum did whenever he first found the ring. Of course, he was like using the ring's power to like steal from people and things like that, which just made the people not like him, like his community not like him. Bilbo was a little more clever and sneaky with it, so not everyone noticed, but he had that community. He had Gandalf like telling him, leave the ring to Frodo, You see how like crazy he becomes whenever he like sees the ring again, and has that kind of evil influence again. But that's just like a perfect example of like having that community. That's like when you have that healthy community, it's gonna help you and correct you whenever you've been like kind of living with these unhealthy behaviors. So yeah, I think I got one more point here to make. Crap, I lost my spot. Importance of human connection. Gollum's story serves as a reminder of the crucial role of human connection and social interaction for our well-being. Meaningful relationships, empathy, and emotional support provide us with a sense of belonging, understanding, and validation, or correction. They help us navigate life's challenges, maintain a balanced perspective, and foster personal growth. Gollum's descent into darkness and the negative effects of isolation underscore the significance of cultivating meaningful relationships, embracing social connections, and avoiding prolonged periods of seclusion. By nurturing healthy interpersonal connections, seeking emotional support, and engaging in social interactions, we can safeguard our own well-being, maintain a balanced perspective, and navigate life's challenges with greater resilience. This lesson should encourage us to prioritize human connection and not isolation. So, that is the lesson here. Isolation is not a healthy thing. Isolation is like an extreme word, but like I'm not saying don't make time for yourself alone or whatever, especially if you're introverted like me. I definitely need that, but I'm saying isolation is not healthy. That's like the extreme form of it. So that's the lesson we can learn from Gollum here, and thank you for joining me on this episode of the Mythical Mindset. And I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. If you want to go back and check out all the past episodes of Mythical Mindset, they're on Spotify. check it out. Just search the Mythical Mindset. I think we're almost to 20 episodes over there, so check it out, and I'll see you later.